Hi, Polly here.
And this is Tortuga.
And this is Trek for Free Stories. Let's dive in.
Today's adventure. She ran straight into the woods. Now, enjoy the story. Mystery, adventure, and history.
I opened the door to the adventure van, and she was gone. She just ran. She took off. Not played, not sniffed around, not sat there looking up at me doing the rescue dog uncertainty thing. No. She ran straight beeline. I mean full speed. Just straight into the National Forest. She was gone. She didn't even look back once. Well, my smile, that slowly melted away. The kind of slow where you're still holding the expression, but there's nothing behind it anymore. First 10 seconds, then 30, and then a minute. I'm Tortuga, and this is Trek for Free. And this story's about Lacy. I was in a rough patch of life when I found her. You know, the kind of rough patch where everything you thought you were building gets stripped away at once, and you're standing in the wreckage trying to figure out what comes next. I don't want to get into all of that. You've probably had a version of that yourself. But I needed a dog. Not a lap dog. I needed an athletic dog. Medium size. One that could keep up with the trail runner who had nowhere particular to be. I tried to adopt an English setter early on. She was a beautiful dog. Had a great personality, per the advertisements. But she was gone before I could get the paperwork through. Well, Lacy was still listed. She was a German short-haired pointer. She was a rescue with age unknown. The paperwork had her somewhere between 3 and 5 years old, depending on which form you read. She had already been through several foster homes and was returned more than once. I applied. I was confident. You know, man plus dog, oldest story ever written. The adoption agency turned me down. No house, no fence, no kids. I couldn't even get a dog. This was a new low. That's when Polly stepped in. I just met her. She had a house. She had a fence. She had kids. She fit every box the agency wanted, and she said yes without much deliberation. Her name went on the paperwork. Mine wasn't mentioned anywhere. Lacy lived in Indiana. That's 2 days in each direction, and I had a job. 4 days on the road was not gonna work. We asked the foster family to meet us halfway. And to my surprise, they agreed immediately. Looking back, the really, truly, desperately wanted this dog to be someone else's problem. I had a huge smile going into this meeting. You know, joy, anticipation. I ran towards her. Lacy looked straight through me, like I wasn't even there. Now that foster family, they moved through that paperwork fast. Sign here, here's a leash, good luck. Good luck? Amy drives and I navigate. That's how it's always been. It was no different this time. So I had hours in the passenger seat to talk to my new dog. I tried everything. Different tones, her name, questions, observation about the scenery. She never twitched an ear. Never tilted her head. Not one flicker of acknowledgement that I existed. Like I was just background noise she'd been tuning out for years. Which, now that I think about it, that was probably accurate. So we found a campsite in the National Forest about halfway home. We'd used it before. It was an easy navigation and a good stopping point. We pulled in. I climbed out. I opened the van door. And there she went. Straight line into the trees, gone. Didn't slow down. Not even look back. I stood there with my mouth open. The stages came fast. Disbelief first, then something a lot like anger. My dad always said a dog doesn't stick around, it isn't worth keeping. I was fully there. Forget her. I mean, obviously not the right fit, right? We can figure something else out. Of course, I was actually devastated. But I had camp things to do, and busy work is a good painkiller. Polly was already moving around camp doing whatever needed doing. She has a gift for that, showing up without making a production of it. 30 minutes, maybe more, we were sitting, talking, and then Lacy came flying back through camp. Not walking, not trotting. I'm talking a full sprint, right between us, directly through camp. Then, into the woods in the opposite direction. She was gone before I could even process what I'd seen. Then she came back. She blew through again. And again. Each pass shorter than the last, like she was running circles and the circles were tightening. She wasn't hunting. She wasn't playing. I genuinely do not know what was happening inside her head. She just ran. Eventually she came back to camp before dark and stopped. And for the first time since the handoff, she looked at me. Not warm, not friendly, more like, now what? The absolute minimum of acknowledgement. One step above looking through me. But it was something. Night came and the temperature dropped. The three of us got into the van. The bed's pretty small. Lacy just stood there, remaining stiff, disconnected, not lying down. She wasn't relaxing. She was just standing in the dark, hovering over us, like she was waiting for this to go wrong too. The temperature kept dropping. I woke up in the middle of the night with something breathing into my face, very close. I opened one eye. There was Lacy, just 2 inches away, staring at me. I lifted the edge of my sleeping bag like a peace offering, and she climbed in. That was it. That was the bond. The whole thing, I felt it happen. There was a shift that doesn't have a clean name. Man and dog, finally on the same page. We were in the middle of a national forest, in the adventure van, somewhere between Indiana and home. Lacy was an awesome trail partner. Absolutely she was, and I can tell you more about her later. You know, the night runs where she led me out of the Appalachian trails at night when I had nothing to navigate by. Or our cross-country experiences pulling Polly over the hill into a pretzel. Well, she taught me things in the back country that I probably couldn't have learned any other way. I do want to leave you with one thing, though, and that's Polly's and Lacy's relationship. You see, Polly was Lacy's legal guardian. Her name was on every piece of paperwork. The whole arrangement was her doing, and without her, none of this happens. However, it wasn't all roses. You see, Polly never once warmed up to Lacy. Not once in all the years did they share. Polly always said Lacy was possessed by a soul of one of my ex-girlfriends. And she meant it. If this sounds like your kind of expedition, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe so you can catch the next one. In the spirit of adventurers of yesteryear and the storytelling legend Louis L'Amour, I hope we find a place in your travels. See you on the road. Until next time, adios.